Okay, Donna, so you are now live.
Thank
Have a
you.
great class. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
How are you?
Hey, Carol Sue, how you doing?
54. It's chilly.
Ooh, that sounds chilly. Let me see. 61.
Wow.
Heat wave. Hi, Linda. Welcome. Hi, Rita.
Let me tell you something. Only for you would I stay up at 8 o'clock.
We missed you on Friday.
I'll be there. I'll be
Hi,
there.
Sue. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Hello, Donna.
You got a nice snow scene behind you there.
Yes, that was the April snow in Ohio, but
Oh,
it's been so long since I've
Is it
been on
real?
this.
Is it real?
Yes, it snowed in April. I'm in Cincinnati.
mhm.
Wow.
Now, did it stick at all? I mean, it looks like it kind of stuck there.
Just on the grass.
Just on the grass, yeah.
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 It's all gone. We're supposed to be 80 degrees tomorrow.
Isn't that funny? Get snow 1 minute, next minute 80.
So I decluttered my music room and found the piano.
Hey, all right.
So I saw this class and I went, oh, okay.
Oh, gotta get the head back into it.
Yes,
That's
the gray
funny.
cells.
Yeah, really, I know what you mean. Well, playing piano ought to wake up those gray cells.
Okay.
That'll wake them up fast.
Rita, I like your background. That's so colorful.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just set it up today. I found it on Shutterstocks.
Shutterstock.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks nice. It's very colorful.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah.
festive.
Yeah.
Hi, Linda. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while either.
I know your oldies are coming back.
I guess.
Yeah, we've been stalking your classes, Donna.
Oh, have you?
We miss you.
Hi, Berna.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I have my music sheet tonight.
Ooh, all right.
Ooh.
She's ready.
Yes.
That's funny. Hi, Betty. Good to see you.
Hello. Finally got on.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm
Hi,
anxious.
Marianne. What'd you say, Betty?
I said I'm anxious to learn.
All right. Yeah. So
I've been-
how many people here actually can read music right now? Anyone? Yeah, Linda does. Okay. And I know we have probably a lot of curious people are here wondering what it's all about. Yep. Okay. Well, that's good. All right. Well, why don't we get started tonight? Because we have a lot to cover in a short period of time. I have to make you guys all Beethovens by the end of the hour. No pressure. All right. I want to welcome everyone to get set up. We're seniors teaching seniors about technology. We also have social hours and all kinds of things going on here. Now, tonight's class is a nice class here. We're going to talk a little bit about some history and we're going to learn about music. It's how to read music for the beginner or just curious. So we're going to hopefully by the end of the hour, what you see here on this page is not going to be that foreign to you. Hopefully that's the objective tonight. We'll see if we get there. My name is Donna. I'm your guide tonight. I was in the IT industry for over 30 years. I enjoy helping people get over their fear of technology. I also was a music major. So here we go. You can get a copy of the recording tonight by emailing help@getsetup.io. And we're not paid to promote any of the products or anything I mentioned tonight. This is strictly for our own training. So tonight we're going to get a little brief history of Western music notation. I'll give you a little bit of what that's all about. And then we're going to learn the basics of music notation and how pitch and rhythm are notated on paper. All right. And I just asked who knows how to read music. I think we have more people can't than they can, but that's okay. At the end of this hour, you're all going to be caught up. All right. So look at this. Oh my God. Well, how do you read this thing? You know, this is what musicians look at. This is something a pianist would play. Chopin is very popular pianist. Actually, we should do a class on him. He's one of the great piano masters. So you look at this and you go, oh no, how do they even get music out of their instruments when they have this in front of them, right? Okay, well, we'll talk about this. The oldest melody ever found on a piece of stone here, they figured out the language and everything, and they figured it was 3,400 years old. It was on this little clay tablet, and it was a Hurrian hymn from Syria. And I'm going to play you a little video here so you can hear what this sounds like. Very interesting, huh?
Kind of hard to put music, to put words to.
Yeah, it's missing a beat of some sort. But that was a lyre, that instrument you see them playing. And this is a artifact here, an old lyre. It would have strings attached to it in its heyday. But that's the type of instrument they were playing back then. So this was very, primitive. Music throughout the history has been notated in different ways. This is an example of Korea. Some old notation. And music, in the early times, really, a lot of times were not notated at all, especially singing. Songs were just learned by rote. This is Indian music, early 20th century. Russia, 1884. Very similar to what we would have. We had similar notation like this, for our Gregorian. What they called them Gregorian chants in the Renaissance period. It was a form of chanting, and here they would have the words written down, and then just a notation telling you to go up or down on the note. So you had to learn the song by rote first, in order to understand this. You would have to learn it first, so you know about how far up you have to go or how far down you have to go. But one thing they don't tell you is how long the note's going to last. Some Chinese notation, 1425. Japanese 738 AD. early 14th century English. Just similar to what the Russians had here. You see the notation. Now I'm going to play you a video about a guy named Guido who helped organize. He was the first one to make a big move on music notation that really affected music after that. Let's listen on about Guido.
Today we're in Arezzo, Italy, to celebrate a musical revolution brought about by an unassuming 11th century monk by the name of Guido. This is the Museo della Musica in Talla, Italy, which houses displays on the history of music as far back as the musical notation system developed by Guido around 1,000 years ago. Until the 9th century, music was transmitted almost exclusively through an oral tradition. Manuscripts like this one contained shorthand reminders placed over the words to show the general contour of the melody. But unless the singer already knew the chant, they weren't much help. The simple brilliance of Guido's system was to add lines and a clef, which identified a note on that line as F. You'll notice from this manuscript that there were only 4 lines instead of the 5 we have in modern notation, and rhythmic durations were still undeveloped, but the ability to specify pitch was a quantum leap for music. Another important contribution made by Guido was to name the first 6 tones of the major mode so that he could easily make reference to each pitch while teaching the chant repertory to his students. He took the names from the first syllable of each line in this hymn, because each line outlines the next step in the scale: ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la. The Guidonian hand bears Guido's name, and it is a great application of his ideas, but he probably didn't actually create it. At least it's not mentioned in his books. The concept behind the hand was that once a singer memorized the positions of the syllables, a teacher could teach a whole group of monks a chant melody by pointing to the pitches on his hand. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, and la are still used as solemnization symbols in music schools today. So, if you're wondering who to thank for the solfege syllables you use in musicianship, Guido's your man. Solfege, combined with the ability to write down and recreate chant melodies, was a musical revolution, or what Howard Goodall calls a big bang.
Go!
And another video about that Guidonian hand that they were talking about how they actually read the music is very interesting.
Around the 10th century, Western music looked like this. If you want to learn more about why medieval music looked this way, check out this video on how the music clefs got their shapes. Now, if this was written in modern notation, it would look something like this. These were the only notes being used in conventional Western music at the time. 20 notes plus 2 accidentals, and each note had its own name. I'm not talking like today's music where each note is one of the 7 letters of the musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, or G. No, each one of these notes had a particular name, which included the note name but also its positions in the hexachord system. For example, this D below middle C is called D so re, and this G above middle C is called G so re ut. All of the notes followed this convention, beginning with the note name and then its positions in the hexachords. With this system, each note has a unique name. This is where the Guidonian hand comes in. If you search the internet for Guidonian hand, odds are you'll find something like this. a scan from a music manuscript dating back to the 10th or 11th century. But it's easier to show you how the Guidonian hand worked on an actual three-dimensional hand. Beginning on the thumb of the left hand, you would start with the lowest note, gamma ut, then going down the joints of the thumb, A re and B mi. The rest of the notes followed a spiral pattern around the hand, going up the pinky, across the fingers, and then circling back around. Since most of the music at the time was taught by rote, this was a simple tool musicians could learn to help them remember the notes and to help them sight sing music. I ended up making a couple more hands for this project, if you want to see how that.
So that's an early notation that they were using. And a little bit about that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. So to learn a little bit more of the history of that, which is really prominent in music today. Again, thanks to Guido. Let's talk a little bit more about the do, re, mi.
Why do we sing do, re, mi? Do, re, mi, also known as solfege, is a system of associating each note of the Western music scale with a particular syllable. This was done to aid the learning of music notation and improve sight singing skills. Like many components of Western civilization, solfege is a product of the medieval period. A Benedictine monk by the name of Guido was working in the Italian city of Arezzo as a teacher at the cathedral. While there, he developed many techniques to teach his singers various chants and songs. Guido created a mnemonic for remembering the musical scale. Using the first syllable of each line of the hymn, Ut quiant laxus, Guido created solfege. At the age of 34, in the year 1025 or 26, Guido published a treatise on music entitled Micrologus. His Ut re mi system of psalmization then spread across Europe. In 1640, Giovanni Battista Doni, a Florentine musicologist, proposed that ut be replaced with do, arguing that it is easier to sing. His contemporaries agreed and the change was adopted. The seventh note, the leading tone of the scale, was later added and named si, after Sancta Johannes, the final line in Guido's hymn. The last change to solfege was made in Norwich, England in 1811. Sarah Ann Glover, a music educator, wanted each syllable of the scale to start with a different letter. C was then changed to T. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do.
And do people remember the sound of music? Remember the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do song in Sound of Music? That's what this is all about. That's what they're talking about in that song, is this solfege. So so listen to the Sound of Music again, listen to that song again, and you'll see exactly what they're talking about there. That's been around for ages. And that's the way people, if you study music in college, so you have to take a solfege class. Thanks to Guido. Now I know who to blame. I didn't like that class too much. So when we're looking at music notation, once we got out of the, it evolved more in the Renaissance and the Baroque period, but it really took off in classical and Romantic periods because we started having more instruments. There were orchestras and opera was going on, and you had to have some type of notation that told everyone what note to play, how long to play it, all that type of stuff. So otherwise it was just chaos. So, we would not have operas today or anything especially the rhythm part. Guido figured out how to tell people what pitch to sing, the note to sing, but how long do you hold that note? So that later on notation became to the point where it looks like it does today. And that was throughout the classical period. So from like 1750 on, it's been evolving more and more throughout the generations to what we see today. So when we look at reading music, I'm going to have you listen to another video here about how to read music, and then we're going to do some examples.
watch a film or a play, we know that the actors probably learned their lines from a script, which essentially tells them what to say and when to say it. A piece of written music operates on exactly the same principle. In a very basic sense, it tells a performer what to play and when to play it. Aesthetically speaking, there's a world of difference between, say, Beethoven and Justin Bieber, but both artists have used the same building blocks to create their music, notes. And although the end result can sound quite complicated, the logic behind musical notes is actually pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at the foundational elements to music notation and how they interact to create a work of art. Music is written on 5 parallel lines that go across the page. These 5 lines are called a staff, and a staff operates on 2 axes, up and down and left to right. The up and down axis tells the performer the pitch of the note, or what note to play, and the left to right axis tells the performer the rhythm of the note, or when to play it. Let's start with pitch. To help us out, we're going to use a piano, but this system works for pretty much any instrument you can think of. In the Western music tradition, pitches are named after the first 7 letters of the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. After that, the cycle repeats itself: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. But how do these pitches get their names? Well, for example, if you played an F and then played another F higher or lower on the piano, you'd notice that they sound pretty similar compared to, say, a B. Going back to the staff, every line and every space between 2 lines represents a separate pitch. If we put a note in one of these lines or in one of these spaces, we're telling a performer to play that pitch. The higher up on the staff a note is placed, the higher the pitch. But there are obviously many, many more pitches than the 9 that these lines and spaces give us. A grand piano, for example, can play 88 separate notes. So how do we condense 88 notes onto a single staff? We use something called a clef. A clef is a weird-looking figure placed at the very beginning of the staff, and it acts like a reference point telling you that a particular line or space corresponds to a specific note on your instrument. If we want to play notes that aren't on the staff, we kind of cheat and draw extra little lines called ledger lines and place the notes on them. If we have to draw so many ledger lines that it gets confusing, then we need to change to a different clef. As for telling a performer when to play the notes, 2 main elements control this: the beat and the rhythm. The beat of a piece of music is, by itself, kind of boring. It sounds like this. Notice that it doesn't change, it just plods along quite happily. It can go slow, or fast, or whatever you like really. The point is that just like the second hand on a clock divides 1 minute into 60 seconds, with each second just as long as every other second, the beat divides a piece of music into little fragments of time that are all the same length. Beats. With a steady beat as a foundation, we can start adding rhythm to our pitches, and that's when music really starts to happen. This is a quarter note. It's the most basic unit of rhythm, and it's worth 1 beat. This is a half note, and it's worth 2 beats. This whole note here is worth 4 beats, and these little guys are 1/8 notes, worth half a beat each. Great, you say. What does that mean? You might have noticed that across the length of a staff, there are little lines dividing it into small sections. These are bar lines, and we refer to each section as a bar. At the beginning of a piece of music, just after the clef, is something called the time signature, which tells the performer how many beats are in each bar. This says there are 2 beats in each bar, this says there are 3, this one 4, and so on. The bottom number tells us what kind of note is to be used as the basic unit for the beat. 1 corresponds to a whole note, 2 to a half note, 4 to a quarter note, an 1/8 to an 1/8 note, and so on. So this time signature here tells us that there are 4 quarter notes in each bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But like I said before, if we just stick to the beat, it gets kind of boring, so we'll replace some quarter notes with different rhythms. Notice that even though the number of notes in each bar has changed, the total number of beats in each bar hasn't. So, what does our musical creation sound like? Sounds okay, but maybe a bit thin, right? Let's add another instrument with its own pitch and rhythm. Now it's sounding like music. Sure, it takes some practice to get used to reading it quickly and playing what we see on our instrument, but with a bit of time and patience, you could be the next Beethoven. Or Justin Bieber.
All right. So when we talk about looking at, all right, this is called the staff. This is the grand staff. We call it the grand staff because we're talking about both the G clef and the F clef here. When we look at this, well, first of all, if you're playing an instrument, let's say violin, flute, you're a singer, if you're an alto, a soprano, more high-pitched instruments, you're going to be on this G clef. If you're playing string bass, cello, trombone, you're probably going to be down here on this bass clef. If you're a pianist, you're going to play both. So when we're looking here, we'll start with the G clef. It's called the G clef or the treble clef. G clef because where this circle is right here, it circles the G note. So when you look at the lines, you've got all in order, starting with C here, D, and then E is the first line, F, G, and you go on up. This C, by the way, and the C over here on the right, this is the same note. Think of it as being right in the center between the two clefs. And then, of course, here is the F clef, or they call it the bass clef. It's called F because these two dots enclose the F note. That's where the name comes from there. There's other clefs. I used to play cello, and sometimes I'd play on the tenor clef or the alto clef. And all those are just like they said in the video, you don't want to have all these ledger lines because they get hard to read as they start moving up, and you might have one note that has 8 little lines. It's kind of hard on the eye. And that's when you do have to move to another type of clef to keep all the notes on the 5 lines. That's basically what that's about with the clefs. So when we look at these, we line them up to the piano. In the middle is the C, right across. And when you're looking at a piano, you just go for that. The C is the key that's right before the 2 black keys. That's C. And middle C, if you look at the piano, go right straight in the middle of the keyboard. That is middle C. And you will see that you've got a C and then a D, and then E starts on the treble clef. Going down, the C again is in the middle. Then there's one note B, and then A on the bass clef. We have these little mnemonics here to, in a way, to learn what the notes are on the 2 staffs. Every good boy does fine. I don't know why they have body. You could do body if you wanted to. I've seen other people say every good boy deserves fudge. It's whatever you can think of to remember where the notes are. And then the spaces spell face. Now, when you look at the bass clef, a little bit different. Good boys do fine always, or good boys deserve fudge always, whichever. And you'll see some other ones. We're gonna watch another video, and you'll see some different, different types of memory tricks here. And for the spaces, all cows eat grass. So A, C, E, G. Just little tricks when you're first learning. Once you get more comfortable playing whatever instrument you're playing, you won't even think about that anymore. It'll just become, just second nature to know exactly which note you're going to be playing on your instrument. Now, I always say the piano is the greatest brain game ever invented because pianists have to play both clefs. Your left hand will play the bass clef. Your right hand will play the treble clef. And as you can see, the notes are different on the clefs. So you're literally reading 2 different things at the same time. Your 2 hands are doing different things at the same time. So it's really a good brain game. And I'm sure anyone who's played the piano can attest to that. So that's the beginning to get you started. Let's talk a little bit about let's play a little a little game here so you can learn about reading the notes. So we can get that. I'm gonna do this little, this is gonna become stuck in your brain too, this song, these songs here.
Note name challenge. Think face if the note is in the space. Think every good burger deserves fries for.
That's a new one too. Every good burger deserves fries. You know, whatever it takes to remember what they are. They've updated them. It was always every good boy does fine when I did it. But you know, whatever works for you, that as long as you can remember it, that's all it works. So make note, people, make note of these,
Every good boy
what
does
these are. Here we go.
face.
Notes on a line. Listen to the music. Figure out the note name and see if you can say the note name together at the same time. Ready?
Any guesses?
G,
F.
G.
F.
F, yep.
Oh, G's one up.
D. D.
Yep.
B.
D.
It's got to be an A.
Yeah, very good. Hey.
A.
B.
F.
Yep.
G. G.
G.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
G.
B. B.
Yep.
B.
G. No, the A, no, the
E, yeah. E.
E.
That's a B. B.
C.
C, yeah.
C.
E.
E.
Mm-hmm.
E. How did you do?
Very good. All right, you guys are reading music already. Look at that. You didn't think it was possible, huh? All right, now this one's a little different, this game,
Wow.
because we're going to spell words. So you're going to be reading more than one note at a time here. All right, here we go.
Music spelling bee. Just believe in yourself. You can do it. To play the game, see if you can figure out what word is spelled with the music notes. If you can figure it out before the bell rings, give yourself a point.
Okay, one refresher here for people, just in case you didn't get it the last time.
Below.
All right. Okay, here we go.
For lines, think every good burger deserves fries. For a space, just spell face. F-A-C-E. Ready?
Egg.
Egg, very good.
Dad.
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 Yep. A little harder, huh?
E. E. Something. E.
B. Bed.
Mhm.
Bed.
B. A. Bad.
Bad. No.
Mhm.
B.
Yeah.
A. B. A.
Bag.
There you go, bag, yes.
A.
Face.
Face, yeah. I said, don't panic. Face. The face.
You want a good girl? Or do you want something? Or do you want it to straight?
C-A. C-A. Cab.
Very good boy.
Cab.
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 Mhm. All right, how was that?
Yeah,
My
that's a
brain
good way to learn.
hurts.
Your brain hurts. You guys are reading music. Look
I
at
know,
you guys.
that's a good way to learn.
36 minutes in. You're reading music. All right. Not bad. But you get a little feel, especially when they make you do the make the words. I mean, musicians, you're not reading just one note unless you're playing an instrument that can only play one note at a time. But usually you're reading more than one note. You're doing chords. But see, it kind of gives you a feel for what it's like.
That's the beauty of playing English handbells. I only have to play one note in each hand.
Now you have a bunch of bells, don't you?
If you get far enough up the treble, yeah, you can double them up, or you can play 2 octaves.
Yeah. So you do a bell choir?
Yes.
Now, are you guys doing anything virtually?
I think they're just starting to come back. I gave it up last year or two, but I started playing when my first son was about 6 months old, and he just turned 36.
Oh, I'm trying to think of
But
a way
I still only
to
play one note at a time.
I'm trying to think of a way we could do a get set up bell choir. I'm still trying to think about a way to do it.
Well, you should be able to do that.
Yeah, we should be able to. I'm still thinking about that. So we'll see. All right. So let's go back into our lesson here. Give yourself a little break. So that's reading it. But one thing we haven't talked about are the actual rhythm. So let's sit back and listen to a little video here on the time signatures. We'll learn a little bit about the rhythm and the beat.
Music is divided into bars by bar lines. The time signature, those 2 numbers at the beginning of the piece, tell us how many beats or counts will be between one bar line and the next. We divide things up like this because it makes the music way easier to read. No bar lines equals mega confusion. So here's a short piece without any bar lines. Let's see if we can fill them in. Before we do anything else, let's figure out how many counts each of these notes have. In the last video, we learned that all crotchets have 1 count, all minims have 2 counts, and all semibreves have 4 counts.
He's from England.
Like this. With the counting down, let's look at the time signature at the beginning of the tune. This particular time signature is called 4/4. For now, let's forget about the bottom number and focus on the more important top number. This tells us how many beats will be between one bar line and the next. In this case, the top number is 4, so every bar will be exactly 4 beats long. All we need to do now is add up the counts until we get 4, and then draw a nice vertical bar line. Easy. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, bar line. And finally, 1, 2, 3, 4, bar line. Now, because it's the end of the tune, we need to add a special type of bar line to show that we're done. It looks like this, and we call it a double bar line. There you have it. We've used a time signature to draw in some bar lines and make some bars. Let's clap it, shall we? Always a good idea to clap these kind of things. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Let's try another example. Just like before, let's give the crotchets 1 count and the minims 2 counts. Now check out that time signature. This time the top number isn't 4, it's 3. This particular time signature is called 3/4. We're in 3/4 time, so each bar now needs to have exactly 3 beats. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, bar line. 1, 2, 3, bar line. 1, 2, 3, bar line. And 1, 2, 3. Double bar line. Let's clap. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Man, drawing all these bar lines is fun. Let's try one more. Again, let's put in the counting. Crotchets get 1 count, minims get 2 counts. You know the drill. This time we're looking at a 2/4 time signature. 2 is on the top, so every bar needs to be exactly 2 beats long. 1, 2, bar line.
1, 2,
2, bar line.
1,
1, 2, bar line.
1,
And 1, 2, double bar line. Clapping, but of course. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And we are done. Music quiz. Here's a tune with all the bar lines marked in. But bar 3 is missing notes. Check out the time signature and let me know below in comments what sort of note
Oop, I gotta get his hand
or
out of the way.
notes you think could
All right, so what could go in this space?
Either 4 quarter notes
Right?
or
A rest.
You could
Or
put a
2.
rest in here, a whole rest, or you could have another whole note here. You could have 2 of the quarters and a half. Could it go here? Now, how about a combination that we don't see on the page? Do you see another combination?
a 3 and a 1. Is there a 3? Yes, there is a 3.
2
Isn't there a
half
3?
notes.
Yeah,
Without-
2 half notes.
Oh,
Right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. You could have just 2 half notes here. Very good.
excuse me. Isn't there something with a dot, a little tiny dot?
Yes, you could have a dot. Yes, yeah. There are some different rhythms, more advanced ones where you
That's
have
3.
a dot.
That's 3, right?
Right, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the dot, if you see a dot after a note, the dot is equal to half the length of the note next to it. So like if I were to put a dot after a, like for instance, half note, it would actually go for, if it was 4/4 time, it would go for 3 beats if you see a dot. So yeah. So you could see that. You could see a dot. So what Rita's talking about, you could have a dotted half and then 1 quarter note at the end.
Oh, I see.
You see that? Yeah. We don't
Yeah.
talk about too much about the dot right now. That's a more advanced thing, but that's where you get a little bit different timing. So when we're looking at these notes, you know, the whole note, he's from England, so he kind of had some funny names for these crotchets and stuff like that, but we know them as whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, and then eighth notes, 16th, 32nd, 64. I would not want to have to play the 64 notes. That's fast. And then the rest. They all have equivalent rest markings for each of these. And so that's how you can tell how long to play a note.
Not very long.
Yeah, these are, it's hard enough to do 16th notes, really.
Right.
Yeah, and that's primarily what you see. You're really a virtuoso if you're playing 32nd and 64ths. That's some instruments, it probably would be impossible to even do. And again, if we're looking at the rhythm and the notes, this is an example, the 4/4 time. If you just have one whole note, you play the note, and then 2, 3, 4. You've got to hold that note all the way through the measure. Half notes, you're going to only have 2. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So your notes you're going to hold each note for 2 beats.
3, 4.
And then the quarter notes are usually the unit of measure. Sometimes the lower number on the bottom changes to something else, but most of the time it's on the quarter note. And in this example, 1 quarter note per beat. So you'll have 4 quarter notes per measure. And then it gets, a little trickier with eighth notes. When you're counting them, in this situation here, you've got 4 beats to the measure. So there's going to be 2 eighth notes to a beat. So you're going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then if you're doing 16th notes, you're going to be counting 1 eana, 2 eana, 3 eana, 4 eana. And so the beats, when you're doing these type of notes, think of the beat as there's a beginning, like you're coming down on the beat, you're moving through the beat, and you're to the end. So there's a little bit of a duration on the beat when you think about playing these type of notes. Triplets, I usually don't say 1 triplet. I usually go 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. Think of the waltz. That's a perfect example of putting 3 pulses on 1 beat.
Gotcha. 1 and a, 2 and
1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. So those are the way you would be doing your beats when you're breaking them up. And it takes practice. You've got a piano piece that's got a lot of 16th notes. You're going to be practicing that a little bit to get through those. So that's the rhythm, how long the note is going to last for. So when we look at an example like this, anyone who can read music already knows what this song is. Anyone who's just looking at... Anyone have a clue? It's this national anthem, Star Spangled Banner. Da, 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 da. See, solfeggio. See, I learned something in my solfeggio class. But that's what solfeggio does. You learn the intervals, and then you can figure it out. So that's. I guess I did pay attention in that class.
That's a sharp, F sharp? No, what an E sharp?
Yeah, that's an F sharp. Yeah.
F sharp.
So when you're looking at this 3/4 time, right? So you've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So when you're counting you can see how you count your the beats.
1, 2.
And if you see something like this in the middle, this 1, and then you see the 2 dots, that tells you to go back to the beginning. Go back over here to where there's the 2 dots. You're going to repeat this. And then when you get to this measure, you're going to go over here. That's usually how you work it when you're reading music. But now you should be a little more comfortable looking at something like this, right?
What did you say again?
Making a little more sense. What was that?
Donna, you said when you got to the dot, you repeated. So you start at the dot again?
Yeah, because what happens is you're going to come in here, and the first time through, this is how you read this. You'll see the 1.
Okay.
And you see the 2 dots. It tells that those 2 dots, you have to go back to the other 2 dots. So right over here. So you'll go back.
Oh, I see.
You'll come here, and you go back to here. And then the next time you go through, once you hit this measure, you jump over to here, and then you continue on. So you will see that from time to time. It's a way to save having to repeat a lot of stuff in the notation. That's a little shortcut there. You'll see that from time to time as you start playing some music. That's how you do that. You just go back and then you continue on after you go through the second time. And one last thing to talk about, because sometimes you see music that has, they're not always in C major. Sometimes you're in other keys. It has to do with the intervals of our the way the notes are laid out in the intervals of the major chord. So you will see these sharps and flats. And what they tell you is when you're playing, first of all, it tells you what key you're in. Also, for the musician, it tells you what key is going to be sharp or flat. And what they mean by that, I'm going to show you this little piano. When you're looking at it, you've got the C major chord here. The scale.
Okay.
It has no sharps or flats, so it just sounds like this. Now, let's say I wanted to do the G. The G, we were just looking at this. G major has F sharp. Well, let's say I play the G, and what if I don't sharp it? Let's see what it sounds like. Uh-oh. You hear that? Didn't sound right, did it? Doesn't sound right. Now, F. Here's the F sharp I need to play. Now listen to it. Oh, better.
Wow.
That's why you have to have the sharps and flats. It has to do with the intervals that are on the scales. That'll be another class someday. We'll talk about scales, but you can hear it when you're playing. And that's all that has to do. If these sharps and flats are not in the right spot, it's going to sound like a clunker. So that's what the key signatures are about. Again, the piano keyboard, when you're just playing sharps and flats, those are, if you're looking at the piano, they'll be the black keys on the piano. It depends on the key you're in. If the key is going to be a sharp type key, then you're going to be playing, like your Fs will be sharped. You might be in a key that's a flat key, where if you're playing a G and they'll say G flat, you would be playing. So you'll notice that F sharp and G flat are the same note. It just depends on what key you're in. Some keys are going to use the flats, some will use the sharps. Does that make sense to people? All right.
I lost you.
You lost me there?
I didn't lose the information. I lost you. I can't see you anymore.
Oh, you can't see me. Can people see me still?
I got you now.
Okay. So when you're looking at a piece like this now, this should make sense to you after what we've talked about in this class. You've got the clef, right? You've the treble clef and the bass. There's a sharp. That all tells you is F is sharp. You've got your time signature. There's how many beats to a measure?
3.
3 beats to a measure. So when you come in here, these notes are going to be held 2 beats. This one's going to be 1 and this one's going to be 2. So, when you're playing a song like this, it's going to take some practice though to play this on piano, because you've got to play multiple different, notes and beats on one hand when you're playing. But, this is what it looks like. This should be less intimidating when you look at a piece of music like this. This is Amazing Grace. Other instruments, just for fun. If you're a cellist, this is Bohemian Rhapsody for the cello. See, cello's on the bass clef. So remember we showed you earlier, it's all good boys deserve fudge.
Right.
So these notes are a little different than the treble that we've been working with, right? And the cellist would be reading those notes accordingly and playing it on the instrument. If you're a drum person, you look at this and you're like, what the heck is this? Well, the drums they usually have one pitch and that's it on a drum. They don't usually change unless you play the timpani. So this type of notation, these X's up here would be the hi-hat, the cymbal. Down below would be the snare or the tom or whatever the notation is for the drum. But this is just telling them what drum to hit and then what the beat is going to be on the cymbal. So you'll see that type of notation for drums. Classical guitar. Classical guitar, usually they show you some fingerings and position on the fretboard of the guitar, how high up the fret you're going to go on the neck on the guitar. Sometimes they have tabs where they just show you what finger. The tabs actually become the strings, and they show you what finger to put down on the strings. Oh, if you're a conductor of a symphony, you ever wonder what that conductor's looking at? This is what they're looking at. They look at every instrument in the orchestra's part is on that conductor's stand. So here you have flute. This is all in Italian. Flute, oboe, clarinet, trumpet, cornet, trombone, timpani, violin 1, violin 2, viola, cello. They see everyone's part. And they would know exactly every note that everyone's supposed to play. That's what a conductor sees, because you see them from behind. You don't see what they're looking at. And we were talking about clefs earlier, other clefs. This is a treble, because we talked about the treble and the bass. This is the tenor and the alto. And they're just telling you where middle C is. And that's just for certain instruments where they kind of fall in between the bass and the treble, and it would be hard to read the music if you have too many lines for each note. So this is the way that you move, the notation. It just makes it easier for the instruments. So what do you guys think now, huh?
Woo!
It's not that big of a mystery anymore, is it? You just need a little bit how to read the music now. I've given you enough to get started.
I want to be an orchestra leader.
Yeah, I know. Orchestration, that is a class. Learning how to put what we just saw, how to put that all together. Because, some instruments are, because they're of, like your wind instruments, because of the physics, some of them are already set in a certain key. So you have to do transposition with some of these instruments. You have to make sure that, they can't change the key that their instrument's in. The metal is only so long, and, all that has to do with the physics. So you do have instruments like that. So, orchestration is very difficult, trying to put all those instruments together.
Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully this was helpful for you tonight.
That was great.
Other classes, I have a music appreciation class about the orchestra if you want to learn more about music history in general through the eyes of the orchestra. And then we have a history of opera class too. We talk about that. We have a music fun hour. We play Name That Tune and just play some games. You can come join in for that.
Yeah.
Rita likes it.
Oh, that's great. That's really very worthwhile to, sign up for.
That's a good time. And then we have a class too about music apps. If you want to get up to date on the music apps that are out there, you'll get an email at the end here with all the links to the videos that we watched. You can watch them again, and you can put your feedback in there. If you have any class ideas or anything like that, you can jot those down there. Also, we have a help@getsetup.io email, and that's the place. If you are interested in doing an interest group of some sort, you can let us know and we'll get you set up with that. A guide will help you with that. If you're interested in art and music, go ahead and email and say you'd be interested in working with Donna, or you can go to Donna-the-guide@getsetup.io and say that you're interested in art and music, and maybe there's a class that you could go, do on your own or with the help of me. And of course, you can always request a recording by also emailing help@getsetup.io. All right, everyone. Hope you had a fun tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. See, Sue, start playing that piano.
I will.
Oh, yeah.
I will. This is going to be fun.
All right,
Bye,
you guys.
everybody.
Enjoy playing some music, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you for the tutorial. My grandchildren are getting old enough to start learning music, so I wanted to see how you explained it to be able to start using the right words for them.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yes, perfect. Yeah. There's a lot of tutorials on the web and everything that you can find, especially for kids too, depending on how young they are. They have some,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, I tried to keep it as simple as I could tonight, not too much, but enough where you could feel like, okay, I can make sense of this a little bit. Music theory in general is very, very complicated. It can get very complicated. But so Linda, did you have a question?
Oh, yes, it can get very complicated. So I appreciated hearing how you got the explanation started. So if my oldest took kinder music when he was 3 and 4,
and
then got a recorder class when he was 5. And he ended up with a love of music and ended up playing his way through college. And
good for him.
My husband said that he went out for sports and didn't get a full scholarship anywhere. My son walked into the band room of LSU and came out with a scholarship, and he got to be out on the field of the LSU with the band. He was out on LSU's field every year.
Funny.
And he said, I am so jealous. So it's a good way to help pay for your college. Is that you get a small stipend when you play in the college band and the basketball band.
Because they have, especially with the, because they have to travel. The musicians travel with the football teams and the basketball teams. They have to go to all the games just like the athletes. And, it's rigorous, and they have to drag all their instruments and everything too.
That's right.
And try to keep all their instruments together in one piece. All that. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. Yeah, definitely.
Boys in the band will learn the tricks of being a musician. He said, if you go out and get your uniform on a little early and then go walk through the tailgate before the football game starts, people will see your uniform and come over. I got gumbo. Come over.
Free food. There you go.
He said, by the time you get ready to march out onto the field, you can barely button your jacket. So
leave it to college kids to figure out how to get free food,
Music opens a lot of doors.
There you go. I know, they get to watch all the games,
for free.
For free,
This was great, Donna.
That's funny. That's
really
funny.
Great.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, we're gonna probably soon. I'll add another. We'll take little steps with music theory, little by little, to get people on board. And I'm going to be starting a piano class.
Oh, sweet!
Probably in June for people who are interested, which you can do hopefully entirely through an app. You don't even need a piano, so hopefully we'll get that going.
Oh, wow!
I belong to a ukulele group. Berkeley Seniors, and so we play by just having the chords over the music, because none of us read sheet music because we're just starting. So, and we've been trying to do it through Zoom, but we can't do it through Zoom because you can't hear each other. It's like
I know it's really it's hard with the music. Because I was thinking of doing a ukulele class for like working on your strumming and your chord changes. I was thinking that would work because we could just work on, the chord changes and strumming, that type of thing.
It's marvelous. I mean, I'm retired IT also. And I just started playing about 4 or 5 years ago, and I love it. And I have family now, and they ask me to play, and we all sing songs when we get together. So it's really
nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, the ukulele's fun. Yeah, I belong to ukulele. Well, because you're in Berkeley, right, Betty?
Oh well, I'm close to Berkeley. I belong to the Berkeley Seniors Center.
Yeah, they had a ukulele group, the Ukulele Rebellion or something, here in San Francisco is the name of the group.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big one. Yes, it's a very big one. Yeah.
I mean, they have ukulele symphonies.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's all kinds of things. Yeah. It's a nice instrument, too, for older folks, because first of all, you can join a ukulele group without even reading any music or anything like that. Ukulele groups always have a mix of people. They have people that have been musicians or people that have just never, ever played before in their lives, and they just pick up the ukulele. And it's easy to play because the instrument's small. So you don't have to stretch your fingers very much because it's small. The chords are easy to play. They're easier than to play on a guitar. So it's good for an older person who, you might have a little arthritis or something. So it is easier. And
How
that's
many
why
How many strings does it
it's
have?
only got 4 strings, Rita. You can't get in too much trouble.
Oh,
you
man.
play everything. I mean, we play Johnny B. Good. We play Bob Dylan.
Yep.
we
You
play-
can, and most of the chords are only, 1, 2, maybe 3 fingers at a time,
There's a lot of songs I'd like to do, but they're really old. Like, I don't know if anybody heard of I'm Confessing that I love you. Like with a guitar, with a ukulele, that would be outrageous.
We do the whole range. We do everything from like 40s up. Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
20s, even the 20s.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That
Yeah.
sounds great. I'm going to look into that. Now I'm going to look into that ukulele thing.
Yeah. It's a good one for older people, definitely.
I'll get a grass skirt,
Oh, there we go. Maybe someday we will have a ukulele group here at Get Set Up. That would be fun.
There's a lot of senior centers that are doing ukulele
Yeah.
now. So.
Yeah, a lot of senior centers. There's a lot of groups that are online too that you can join.
Well, the senior
It's
centers
kind of hard online though, because what they do is each person takes a turn doing a song because you can't sing together. It has, so that's kind of it's not as easy that way. But yeah, but definitely you can do those.
Thank
All
you.
right, you guys, enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
Great
Thank
seeing
you.
everyone. Take care. Bye bye.